Good evening and welcome to the Grown Folks Table. Welcome to the Grown Folks Table. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well, doing well.
Awesome. We're so excited to pull up tonight to talk about the midterm elections and all things that's happening in November. And so I am joined tonight by some very powerful Black women. Let me just go ahead and say that. So I hope that you all are strapped in for a good conversation because it's about to get real grown in here, okay? And let me just go ahead and lay out the rules, okay? Don't bring your feelings to the grown folks table. All right. Don't bring your feelings to the grown folks table because we talking love, but tonight we talking politics, and sometimes you can just have a little mixed feelings and emotions, and so we just gonna keep it real as can be tonight. Are y'all ready to have some grown folks conversation?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do
I'm
it.
ready. I'm ready. Yes.
First of all, we have a very special guest outside of our co-host tonight, Miss Kimberly Carter, and she is an expert in all things on voting, and so she is going to help us stay aligned. Because sometimes, when we get to talking about the way we feel, we be passionate, and sometimes we can be passionate wrong. So we got an analyst at the table that's going to keep us aligned tonight with in balance. So if y'all have some questions, please make sure you drop it in the chat. Kimberly, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kimberly Carter. I'm the executive director of Represent Georgia, and that's the umbrella of our C3, Rep Georgia Institute Incorporated, our C4, which is the Represent Georgia Action Network. And we have a state PAC now, the Peach Power PAC. And so we specialize in all things Georgia, recruiting, training, deploying amazing candidates. We had one of the very robust GOTV program for this particular midterm. And so I'm just excited to be here tonight to talk about our wins, to talk about some places that we missed some things, and to definitely talk about all of these amazing Black women that we elected in Georgia from the top of the state to the bottom and east to west.
Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing a little bit about your background and your expertise that you're going to bring to this fabulous conversation. Well, I just want to go ahead and dive into how y'all feeling after that. Let's just go ahead and get the feelings out the way. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling about this whole election process?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. Am I on mute? I'm feeling pretty good about it. I was disappointed in our governor's race, but not so surprised. I was not so surprised in that area. But what I am hoping for with the people of Georgia, that we will begin to think about restoring character and integrity when we think about sending someone to our nation's capital. And so that is a huge concern for me right now. I'm concerned about the 81,000 votes out there that Mr. Oliver had. And I'm really hoping that Georgia will get it right. Herschel now cannot ride on that Republican ticket. And I think he'll now be out there standing alone. And it'll be different, I think, in the runoff. I'm really hopeful, and I'm very optimistic about the runoff. I think Warnock would win it.
Thank you, Dolores. Come on, Vicky. I know you have something. How you feeling?
Better, better. It took a little time, you talked about when you brought us on tonight about our feelings. So I've been in my feelings a little bit, and a little disappointment. We all are hopeful for better days, and sometimes we have a rude awakening that we've not made as much progress as we would like to believe. But I am, like Dolores said, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to pull this out with Reverend Warnock. Um, it amazes me. I don't even have the right words. I've searched for them that Herschel Walker would even be an opponent. I struggle with it's like it's unbelievable. And I don't know if you all got a chance to hear Pastor Jamal Bryant. Did anybody hear what he had to say to Brother Herschel?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. We don't need a walker. Yeah, that's what he said.
I was grateful to hear it. I said, go on.
He's been told what to do since 16.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
Yes.
So I'm hopeful that we're going to come out in record numbers and get it done, finish this thing.
But that's all the more reason why, they know how to pick them. You know what I'm saying? They know how to pick them. We know, as Pastor E said, we're intellectual women. We're intellectual people. We're women who know.
Mhm.
And we knew from an intellectual standpoint that he did not have what it took. But then from the other side, he was Herschel Walker. And they knew, like Pastor Bryant said, since 16, they've been telling him what to do. And so they knew that he was going to be the one that they could tell what to do in the White House. I wasn't surprised. Growing up in Athens, Georgia, I just wasn't surprised that it was as close as it was. And I was already prepared for, a runoff. It was already in my mind. What I had to get over is the fact that Stacey Abrams is not our governor. I wanted that so bad.
Yes.
And because, just because, she's a very intelligent woman. I believed that she could do the things that she said, or at least she had a lot of compassion behind the things that she said. And our state just needs something different. In 2022, 23, 4, 5, and 6, we just want something different. We want somebody in their hearts to feel better about who we are, what our needs are. And I just felt like she was going to be the person to do that. And that's why I wanted her to win. So that, Tuesday night, I was very disappointed in that. But I knew from the senator's race, it was going to be what it was going to be. And now we just need to get those other votes and have them cast for Warnock in the runoff election.
What about you, Libby? How you feeling?
Listen, I'm disappointed in a great way. I'm very disappointed in how the state I'm just disappointed in how the state voted. And I think we know what happens in the backwoods of Georgia. We understand those dynamics. But I think what's most disappointing for me is that we didn't have a great turnout like we needed to have. There are some dynamics that were there that I think that could have put us over. I don't think, for me, I really think that, yes, she ran against an incumbent and all of those things were there, but I think she did have a chance. And I'm very disappointed that we couldn't get her over the hump, especially the second time around. The first time around, I didn't expect her to win. I wanted her to win, but I didn't expect her to win. This second time around, I just thought that it was going to be different. I thought that we were going to be stronger. I think she ran a stronger race. I do think there were some things that I saw in the debate that I wish were different. But it's just, for me, it's just very disappointing because I know that a lot of people didn't go to the polls for various reasons. And one of the reasons is because of what she looks like. And I think that we can't walk away from that thought that there are a lot of people who are not ready for a woman to be governor, specifically a Black woman to be governor, specifically a Black woman with natural hair. And I think we cannot walk away from that. I also think it's more disappointing to see that we have someone who is in the form of an idiot to be running up against somebody with this type of intellect, this type of influence in the community, this person who has had an upstanding record, regardless of what the ads have put out and the commercials have said. This person is qualified, who has shown that he is qualified in the seat. And you bring forth someone who does not have any qualifications nor any sense. to be running, and we are contending with a runoff. That is disappointing to me. It says a whole lot about where Georgia is and how Georgia sits. It says a whole lot about, the things that we need to do and what Georgia is just not ready for. So it's very disappointing. I mean, even beyond Georgia to even Florida, to see how they just swept through the Republican Party without any blowback. That to me is very disappointing. So I think that we're in a lot of trouble. I think that the times are very critical. I think we got to think about what we're going to do next, because if this is the way it's going to be, then we got a lot of legwork to do. These people voted for Kemp because Kemp opened up the state. That's why they voted for him. They voted me. He opened up the state. And we think about that during COVID. And I don't care about them saying, oh, he stood up to Trump and blah, blah, blah. He still was a person that wanted Trump to be president at the end of the day. So it's just disgusting to me. I'm just disgusted.
Yeah.
Well, I share that same sentiment. I too was disappointed because I was really pushing for Stacey. I mean, I was really hopeful for her because all the work that she put in. When you talk about the comeback kid, I mean, to come back after the last loss and then come back and say, okay, I'm going to stay in the trenches and I'm going to work. And then I'm going to open up doors for the state of Georgia in regards to voting. I mean, Warnock, even Biden, she helped open doors for them through the state of Georgia, the work that she did with them through the state of Georgia. And so for me, just to see all that work that she had done, that credibility alone in itself should have earned her a seat, to know that we had a leader in her. And so for me, that was the part that's disappointing. But then I heard Simone Sanders say this one thing, that sometimes you don't get to reap the immediate benefits of your work that you do. But that's a story that Black women know oh so well, not reaping the benefits of the work that we do right after we have done the work. And when I say this is to put the work in, this is to really put the work in. And so for me, speaking from a women's empowerment perspective, that's the most disappointing part to me. You're checking all the boxes, you got all the different things that's needed, but it's the opportunity. She didn't get a chance to have the opportunity to lead this wonderful state. And it goes to a lot of things that you mentioned as well, Libby, because she wasn't wrapped in the bodysuit that people thought that she should be wrapped in. But, so I'm believing that great things will come down the pipeline for her. I'm a believer in sowing and reaping. And so because she sowed, I just was going to have faith and believe that something better is going to be on the other side for Stacey. And then not only that Georgia will continue to benefit from the things that she did surrounding voting, and surrounding getting everybody, putting Georgia on the map. I mean, that was all Stacey's work behind, and I believe that she's going to continue to do the work. And the other part, yes, absolutely. Who would have thought that Walker and Warnock would be so close, And so, but they were strategic. Here's the thing: if they led that doggone Trump in the White House, y'all should already know they were gonna come for the state of Georgia. They did not like what we did this last go round. Did y'all think they was gonna let us do that again to them without a fight? They were strategic by finding a little puppet, and that's exactly what he is, to challenge this next wave. But I just can't wait to hear what Kimberlyn, what do you think? What happened? Just give us a quick analysis. What do you think happened, and how are you feeling?
So let me tell you this. I am a sore loser. Home, sore loser.
Okay.
So I am not happy right now. I ain't gonna pretend like I'm happy. And I am in Mortal Kombat mode. I want this U.S. Senate seat. We're going to get this U.S. Senate seat by any means necessary. We're going for the jugular. We're taking over these streets again, and we will win.
Say it, Kimberlyn. Say it. I feel like she feels. I mean, come on.
That's right.
No way in the world we should let this man beat Warnock. It's just
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
it's just no way.
And so I want to be very clear with all of you in this audience. In 2018, when we were approaching Monday's election day, we went into Monday's election day in 2018 as the winners. We had beat Brian Kemp in early voting. We had beaten Brian Kemp in vote by mail. And even after he pulled the trick with the purge, we still put a team on the ground that literally went and touched all 75,000, attempted to touch all 75,000 of those folks within 2 weeks, right? So we knew that night the reason why we fought so hard, the reason why we turned our canvassers into a ballot cure team is because there was no other way that Brian Kemp could have become the governor of this state 4 years ago without stealing it. The same numbers that we were looking at, he was looking at.
Come on.
So here is 2022, and we are in the same predicament again. How did it happen? First thing, SB 202. Since Mr. Kemp was no longer the Secretary of State, he had a Republican-led legislature
Right.
that decided to deliver for him a new way to steal an election and to suppress voters. Let's not play. This isn't about Black people not voting. We showed up.
Yeah.
Talk to your white friends about the white women in Georgia.
Yes.
That's right.
Hello.
This
what
ain't
I'm
about
saying.
Black folks this time.
That's what I'm saying.
All the misinformation and the lies that they tried to tell us about our brothers,
Yes.
about our men.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Stacey Abrams looked like half of their sisters, mamas, and aunties, that they weren't going to vote for her. I rejected that misinformation and disinformation from the beginning. And brothers showed up, 85% of them
They did.
in this state said, this Black woman can represent me as governor. Another word I'll give you about what happened on Tuesday night, gerrymandering, where instead of we, the citizens, picking our politicians, politicians are drawing lines and picking their voters.
Yes.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go to Shiloh Baptist Church to vote. Now, because my political lines have been redrawn,
That's
I
right.
have a new precinct.
That's it.
Now, because the Secretary of State has decided to recreate the My Voter page, recreate his website, I can't even go there now and find out what my new precinct is.
Right. It's a mess.
So we must be very clear that these people were determined that we would not do it again.
Yes.
And let alone we voted the
these
same Secretary
changes.
of State in too.
We had 1.2 million people that voted by mail. We had less than 70% of that this time because of SB 202. They
That's right.
changed the form. They changed the process,
Yeah.
as they always do, changing the rules in the middle of the game.
Nothing new.
How
under-
many bubbles in a bar of soap? How many marbles in this container?
That's it. That's right.
It's still Jim Crow.
It's still.
We are one of the few states in this nation still with this Jim Crow runoff business. Ever since Reconstruction, when Black men were the only ones who were allowed to vote outside of wealthy, white, educated white men, and Black men took over the Georgia Capitol, then they still had to find a way. How do we stop this? And so this is how we get this 50+1 business. And even our very electoral college Even our very Constitution that still shows us as 3/5 human was flipped and messed around so that we still have this US Senate that we have, that we still have the same structure in our US Capitol. That's the real of it. And I'm sorry to be so mad, but I plan to be an angry Black woman until December 7th.
Listen, you got a partner, honey, because I'm beyond mad. I'm mad as hell.
So don't let these people
I'm
play
called
you.
cussing mad.
Yeah, so don't let these
I'm
people
called
play
cussing
you.
Yeah, yeah,
Folk
yeah.
get good, Black men don't let them play you.
yeah.
No,
Yeah, 'cause I
Change the rules.
I got suckered into the Black men wasn't gonna vote for Stacey. So I had an attitude with all the Black men, you know. And so my husband politely texted me all the statistics when they came rolling out to show that Black men went to the poll.
white women didn't go.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
They
they
don't.
actually increased their turnout for Stacey.
Yes.
this
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But one of the things we have to and I'm glad we got to talk about our feelings and where we are with them, because I think that helps drive our passion for what's gonna come next, you know, like
You better
because
hope I don't start cussing, honey. That's all I'm saying.
But you know what?
But as Kimberlyn said, by whatever means necessary.
You know what I can appreciate with and Kimberlyn, thank you so much for that candid, transparent, poignant, you know, view of how things really are. And I think it's nothing wrong with being mad as hell. There's nothing wrong with being an angry Black woman, because you've given all the context. The challenge we have is sometimes we get angry and nobody know why, because we don't give context.
Come on.
And
That's
you've
good,
spoken
baby.
from a place of intelligence, right, and articulation, where you've done the work. And so, I just celebrate you and how you've been able to, you know, peel it back. We have to get past the feeling of just being mad, and we need to understand the bigger picture. What really happened here? And that's why it is so disheartening that you think you've made, you know, we buy into that we've made progress.
Yes.
When this thing is so full throttle right in our face, we have not. And that was very clear on election night.
Yeah,
We look like the good old boy network is still alive and well.
yeah. That's why they signed in a closed room together.
Yeah.
The things in which Kimberlyn was talking about. They didn't make that public. They did it among themselves, because they knew had they made it public, it wasn't going to wash.
Mhm.
And then it all was evident on Tuesday night. It was all evident on Tuesday night. So where do we go from here?
One of the things I was thinking about, Joyce, is now that we have increased our voter engagement, because what we did see was that young voters came out in record numbers like no other time before. And so I am very excited about that, because that allows us potential, because these are going to be our future political leaders. These are going to be people that pick up and the mantle and take us into our future. And so with that, we have to kind of even cultivate that movement to move to more teaching about a civics, you know, citizenship and community. So now that we got it, like, and making sure the processes of things that happen. So like the things that Kimberlyn mentioned, the history of what happens behind the scenes that bring us forth here today. And so I think that's going to be the page turner for us. That's going to light, I guess, the momentum that is needed to continue to make Georgia a progressive state. I don't think all hope is lost. I just think now we got to tap into that the younger generation to make sure that they come out and move into understanding what this next level would look like.
And be vigilant in this runoff process. I'm sorry, Kimberly, go ahead. I'll yield to you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to thank you for highlighting these youth voters.
Yes,
Typically,
absolutely.
Black youth voters deliver wins.
Yes.
When Black youth between the ages of 18 to about 35, when they show up, they win for our communities, they win for our cities, states, and for the nation. Gen Z on Tuesday night, that's 18 to 29, let the nation know we will not be MAGA ruled.
Mhm.
The so-called red tsunami ended up looking like Kool-Aid spilled on a Ku Klux Klan head.
You are 100% right. Yeah, and they so mad about it. If you watch
Yeah,
Fox News,
yeah,
you should have seen their faces.
that's right. Looked like somebody washed a white robe with one of them MAGA hats. Okay, that's what it ended up looking like.
Come on, Philadelphia, show them who did it.
And so, and so these young people
Yes.
voted 63% for Democrats and 35% for Republicans. They have fully rejected the Trump agenda, the MAGA agenda, and we've been on a Black Youth Renaissance tour. We've touched every HBCU in the state. We've also gone to some PWIs and technical colleges where our young people are. And trust me, they are disgusted by what the Brian Kemps and the Herschel Walkers and the Donald Trumps and the Burt Joneses have to offer them, because they understand these kids are not policy kids. I mean, they're not party kids. They are policy
Their
kids.
policy, right?
It's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
climate. It's about ending this gun violence. Remember, we're talking about a generation of children. You know, when I talk to these young people, I said, when I grew up, we did the tornado drill and and the fire drill.
That's it.
Georgia. We're talking about kids who have learned gun live shooter drills from kindergarten up to college now.
Absolutely.
Their whole lives have been impacted by an ethically bankrupt Senate and
Sister.
US Capitol
Yeah.
that has decided that gun ownership and that gun violence will ruin the day, pretty much. I mean, we knew when these white folks didn't care about them white babies in Sandy Hook that they wanted their guns more than they cared about white babies in Sandy. We knew then.
We're in trouble.
We in trouble. We are in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because even in this state, young people between the ages of 18 to 29 at a 65.8% turnout, right, were outperforming medium to high propensity. That means medium is people that vote a little bit more, high propensity people that vote all the time. They were beating their turnout in this midterm. Okay. They are going to be a critical element to this runoff as well.
And the fact that it was a midterm and we saw them, I think that is huge.
That's right. But once again, let's go back to what we talked about. SB 202, voter and voter suppression are full of attacks against young people. They tried to close down the early voting locations on their college campuses all across the state. They were trying to close down the polling locations there. Do you know that that Cornyn from Texas, if they take over this U.S. Senate, they want to put through a law that you have to be 21 to vote?
Wow.
These are not coincidences. My mama told me you got to take a fool at his word. These fools have been projecting and telling us exactly what they were going to do. Destroy Roe. Destroy Nancy Pelosi. It hasn't been pretend.
That's right.
People have been telling us
Yeah.
what they were going to do. And when that orange warlock spent 4 years in the White House. It opened the floodgates.
To all of
All
it.
types of ancient demons that our people had prayed against and suppressed.
Yes.
Now they're everywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's very real. It's bigger than political warfare. It is indeed spiritual warfare.
Yes.
Well,
You
one
know,
of the-
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, Kimberlyn, as we have gotten a clear depiction of what happened, what is happening, how do we galvanize the troops? How do we ensure victory? So, because that's the message that we need to talk about. What is our solution? And if Generation G, what is it? Generation Z?
It's the Z. It's the Z.
It's the Z. Because we don't want them to lose hope. We want them to come back. And so what can we do? This is a platform that we've been given. What can we do to ensure that we make it across the finish line?
Well, definitely for all of you who have children in college, friends of children in college, nieces, nephews, all of this, it is going to be super critical that they are not influenced by misinformation and disinformation about the runoff. I don't know if you got a chance to hear former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms talking about how the DOJ had these reports on all of this dis and misinformation that gets targeted not only to our brothers, but it really gets targeted a lot to our young people. So one thing that I definitely want our parents to really start paying attention to, because these kids don't do Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and these things that we do. They're on totally different spaces on the internet that a lot of us don't know anything about. And especially the ones that have gaming systems that are connected to the internet, you really need to be watching what they're doing. Because what we found out is that they're running a lot of political ads on these gaming platforms. So we have to be really, really careful, all of us, about what our kids are seeing. And then there's something called geofencing. I don't know if you've ever been out of town. Let's say you're a person that likes Chick-fil-A, and then you go to hang out with your family over in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and all of a sudden on your phone is the Chick-fil-A that's closest to you in Tuscaloosa, and you're like, wait a minute, what, Lord, what you doing? Right? So a lot of geofencing happens where wherever you are on the satellite, that ads are targeted to you based on the algorithms and the places that you go in your phone. And so that happens to a lot of our young people where they're going. And so they're getting thrown and zinged with these ads, misinformation, disinformation. You can't vote in the runoff if you didn't vote in the general election. Giving out the wrong dates and things of that nature. So it's going to be very important. And because all of you have, because you're leaders, you have voices that people trust, you are trusted messengers, it's going to be very important that our people understand the runoff process. And that they understand if you didn't vote on November 8th, you can still vote on December 6th. Right? You can begin requesting your vote by mail ballot now for the runoff, right? Unfortunately, because of SB 202, if you can remember for Raphael's last runoff, there were 22,000 brand new young voters that were able to vote, right? That's because the time was longer between the general election to the runoff. Yes. SB 202 changed that.
Yes, shorten it.
So the voter registration deadline for the runoff was Monday.
Yep, I already had.
So you can't register now to vote then. So you see what I'm saying? All of that. Because of the school schedule, the week for there's only going to be 1 week of early voting for the runoff. And that's going to be November 28th through December 2nd, right after Thanksgiving. Some of the kids are going to be coming back. That's their finals week. That's their last week of classes. So I'm just saying, these people are so, I know y'all tired of me, they are so diabolical. How they do these things it's incision like, it's surgical. And that is what the late Congressman John Lewis said about how they gerrymandered his home state of Alabama, that it was surgical, that it was literally
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was.
how they suppressed the votes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely going to, I'll share with you some of the things that we're going to be putting on the doors. We've been meeting about these runoffs for the past almost 3 weeks because we saw them coming. To be frankly honest with you, our expectation was that Stacey and Raphael Warnock that we were going to have two runoffs instead of one.
That's
Um,
what I thought.
yeah,
I thought at least at
so
the
we
governor's
had
race
to,
we run off.
we had to reshift some plans there too, because seriously, I mean, that's what it was really, really looking like. So the information that we're putting out there about this runoff is going to be so super critical. It's not going to be a lot of time to vote. They don't certify this last election until November 23rd. So, just a lot is going to happen. A lot is going to be happening. And let me tell you, when Mitch McConnell is calling Brian Kemp to ask him for help with getting Herschel Walker together, because remember, Mitch McConnell thinks that Herschel Walker is trash. Remember, he said all these candidates. So you're going to see them all. I think Ted Cruz is here today.
Oh yeah, they're about to come out and stomp real hard now. They're coming to stomp real hard. Yeah,
they want that Senate
because he's their puppet now, so they're gonna try to push him through. This is just a hot mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can imagine that all the financial resources are really going to be thrown at this runoff. So what we thought they were playing dirty before, we can just go ahead and imagine that it's really, really going to get muddy. And so we have to have our focus lens on, focus real lens, and be very strategic. And one of the things I would do is encourage people to donate and to give to organizations who have boots on the ground, because they really need it to go out and get people that may not have voted but can still vote in this runoff. And because of, like you said, Kimberlyn, normally the runoff would be in January, where it's not so busy and things like that. And that was another thing that they did, was push it back. I'm so glad that we had you tonight, part of this conversation. Are y'all enjoy? Did y'all enjoy our
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, what one thing that I love whenever I hear Kimberlyn and all the people that knows the knowledge that she has is the education of it. It's an education behind it, and once you hear that, you can't be nothing but charged. You know what I'm saying? You
The
can't
passion
be
and the
nothing but
passion.
charged,
Yes.
because it's an underlining hatred there that don't want us to ever succeed at any about to cuss thing. I mean, it's just sickening. It's sickening. It's so sickening. It just frustrates you and make you mad. That what is it about y'all to make you all think that you always got to be superior in every, excuse my language, past each damn thing?
It's some bull sugar. It's some bull sugar. It's some bull sugar, honey.
It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating as all get out. And I promise you, if with everything that I got, with any influence that I have, and in the career that I have, in the management level that I have, we're gonna do what we need to do to make sure everything that needs to be said, done, and heard is there. So, Kimberlyn, you tell me what days you want to come on, okay? You tell me. You from now until December 6th, you tell me how many days you need, because you will be on the airways as many days as you need to preach this to all the people that need to hear it, because everybody isn't as educated as you are in that space. And until you tell people what this all means, then you'll get a different perspective of it. Like, oh, What? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you tell me, you know the number. Tell me how many days you need, because this is the kind of thing
Yeah.
that we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to keep this information in front of our folks any way that we possibly can.
And
Because I ain't got mad. I got mad all over again.
I mean, exactly. And I'm going to share because I don't know if all of your emails are in there, but I know that some of you have C3s on here and C4s. And so I want to share some funds and some organizations with you that want to fund work here in Georgia because, and specifically around misinformation and disinformation. It is so absolutely serious. For me to go into barbershops with Black men all across with the Vote on the Line bus and to hear brothers tell me things like, well, you know, maybe we do need a regular guy like Herschel to go up there. You know, we send out these other old guys. Maybe it's time for us to, you know, send a regular guy, right? And so I said, well, what's regular
about
Herschel Walker? Number one, Oppo Research can't find a W-2 on him. Where has he ever worked?
Period.
He ain't never held a job. All he's held is a football.
And a bad attitude. Hello.
So how is he a regular guy?
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, you in here at least at least you fussing about your baby mama because you trying to see your child. This man has 4 children. He's never even called. How is he a regular guy?
Yes.
What is regular about him? That he has had an opportunity to live the life of privilege as an athlete on the UGA campus. That so many of our other students don't get to go to a PWI and get a red Camaro. Our children go to school and get a roommate that puts a noose in the closet, or they go to school and leave with mounds of student debt. So do you think Mr. Walker is going to fight for the cancellation of student debt? Do you think Mr. Walker, who sends Hallmark greeting cards to women who've had abortions for him, actually respects a woman's reproductive rights and freedom? Oh no, Mr. Walker is not a regular guy.
He's trash, honey, on a hot summer day. Stinking trash.
Oh boy.
And so as we are talking to our people who believe that this is some wonderful moment in Black history, to have 2 Black men face off to go to the US Senate, we have to remind them, Mr. Walker is not a Cory Booker.
You better
Mr.
say that.
Walker is not a Henry McNeil Turner.
No.
Mr. Walker is not a Pinckney Stewart. I'm calling the roll now of former Black senators after Reconstruction. No, Mr. Walker is not a regular guy. Mr. Walker's charitable acts or donations to anything that's got Black on it.
Not at all.
So how has he been responsive to our community?
That's right. That's right.
Jackson County, his home county, where Wrightsville, Georgia is listed as one of the poorest rural communities, not just in the state, but in our nation. It's listed in the same poverty rankings as Hancock County. So when we talk about Mr. Walker, and when we talk about Reverend Raphael Warnock, whose church houses criminal justice reform programs, homelessness programs, housing. And so when these are the ways that we deal with this mis and disinformation.
Well,
because
y'all
the enemies of our progress try to drive this wedge between us. and want to position Reverend Warnock as a Black elitist who doesn't care about regular people. And here's old Herschel, who hasn't had all this education and all this blah, blah, blah. He's a regular guy. He cares about.
Now we want to dummy down education now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are in a state, 3 years of decrease in college enrollment in this state. 3 years in a state that has a Hope Scholarship.
Well, Kimberlyn, I know we got to have you back, Kimberlyn. We got to have you back. We got to have you back because it's
sorry, I'm hot. I'm still hot.
We got to have you back. But we want to thank all our viewers for hanging on with us tonight as we did the replay of the midterm elections. Please make sure that you stay plugged in to Everything Grown Folks Table. You all know that this is very important because we're right here in the state of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. And so you've heard our heart and our passions, and I'm pretty sure it has resonated with you. Please make sure that you go out and vote. Put it on your calendar. The plan is to early vote. That's our culture. That's our creed. That's our new motto. Early vote is everything, okay? And please make sure you plug in to the Grown Folks Table. We'll be right back here later this month. Have a good night.